Hello again, feral friends and fellow nature nerds, and welcome to Dirt Dispatches, my bi-weekly roundup of random rantings and nature news and sightings and whatever else I happen to think of. This is number 42, and I am your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara. So for this Dirt Dispatch, I have a few things I want to talk about, and I'm going to start with some of the interesting things I've seen recently. Now, first of all, like most people in the Northern Hemisphere recently, we had the Northern Lights on display last week. From here at Dispatches HQ, they were faintly visible with the naked eye, at least from here at the house, but through the phone camera was another story. The colors, which were mostly bright pinks, were just amazing. So I hope you were able to get a peek at them too, wherever you're at. On the wildlife front, I saw a few interesting things recently. One was a red fox running across the municipal golf course here. Only my second live red fox sighting here in Cheyenne. I saw a hawk flying over with a snake in its talons. That was pretty cool. And a member of the order, and all-around fun word to say, Lepidoptera, a morning glory plume moth. Now, these small moths are really interesting, not because they're colorful or showy, but rather because they don't look like your typical moth. When resting with their wings folded, they look like a capital T, which explains why they're sometimes called T moths. They look more crane fly-like than moth-like. Now, when spread, their wings look kind of feathery and ragged, and that's where the plume in plume moth comes from. They're usually found near the flowers and vines of their host species, which, as you might have guessed, are morning glories. So there's the morning glory in morning glory plume moth. But most of the plant life here in Wyoming is brown and dormant and has been for a while. And also over the last 6 weeks or so, we've had some relatively cold temperatures and even snow, and particularly overnight temperatures. Most nights have been near freezing, and we've had several nights that were down near 20 degrees Fahrenheit or 7 Celsius. But we have had a few warmer nights scattered in there too, and it was on one of those that I saw this moth sitting on my back door. However, apparently adult plume moths don't overwinter, only the larvae do. So I accept it as a gift that I got to see this one as it neared the end of its lifespan. Okay, so moving on to nature in the news. The other day my wife asked me, "Did you hear about the giant spider web?" No, I hadn't, but now I gotta know. Now, I know Halloween is past, but here's the deal. What's thought to be the world's largest known spider web, housing an estimated 110,000 spiders from 2 different species, was discovered in a cave on the border of Albania and Greece. The combined area of the web built by these spiders is about 1,140 square feet, or 106 square meters. Now, this discovery is unusual not only because of its size, but because typically the larger of the 2 species, the common house spider, would prey on its smaller neighbors. But in this case, the 2 species cohabitate this giant web very peacefully. Now, researchers think that this peaceful coexistence is a combination of inhabiting a permanent dark zone 164 feet or 50 meters from the cave entrance, which impairs the spider's vision, and an unusually dense swarm of about 2.4 million midge flies that provide a constant food source. So basically, they can't see the spider living next door, and they have unlimited DoorDash keeping them fat and happy. According to one of the researchers, it's also likely that the larger spiders have either evolved or just gotten used to responding to the vibrations from the small flies landing on their web, and probably don't attack otherwise. They drew a comparison with humans living in an apartment building, saying basically, you don't mind sharing the stairs, the hallways, or the elevator, but if somebody shows up in your living room uninvited, then you're liable to react a bit more aggressively towards them. It's also interesting to note that the web is like a thick blanket, and when threatened, the female spiders retreat inside it to hide, making it nearly impossible to dig them out. And spiders living inside the cave only lay about 1/3 as many eggs as spiders living outside the cave. Since there are fewer predators, the survival of their young is more assured, so they can afford to lay fewer eggs. I just love that there's still things like this that are being discovered. Okay, the last things I want to address are some things that came up on the social medias. Now, of course, whenever I feel the need for an argument, I don't go visit Monty Python's argument clinic. I just need to visit the comment section of any video of coyotes. And this week I was feeling spicy, so I walked on in. Now, I'm going to put aside the guy who claimed that the quote-unquote ecosystem was a lie and all the quote-unquote dangerous animals should be killed. You can't take that kind of stuff seriously. He was probably a flat earther too. And I'm going to put aside the guy who thought that, and I quote, eliminating coyotes from the planet was a valid idea for controlling their population. There's no point in arguing with people like that. It's like bashing your head against a brick wall. It gets you nowhere, and it feels so good when you stop. Instead, I'll keep it a little bit more tame. The guy who stated that the nickname Song Dog referred specifically to coyote-dog hybrids, and I refuse to use the term coy dog because I hate it. Now, just to be certain that I was correct about what I was pretty sure I already knew, I looked it up anyways before I commented. I'll give you a quote from the La Brea Tar Pits website, who said, Canis latrans literally means barking dog. One of their other many common names is song dog. And yeah, if you've heard coyotes howling and yapping, you can easily see why this name is applicable. Here's an example. And no matter what I searched for, what animal is called a song dog, what is a song dog, etc., it all came up coyote. No mention at all of hybrids. There's even a nonprofit called Song Dog Watch located in North Texas, which is, quote, dedicated to protecting wild carnivores, especially coyotes, through community education, ethical wildlife rescue, and compassionate coexistence, unquote. So anyways, I pointed this out to the commenter and wasn't too surprised when I got a condescending response. He told me that he had been, quote, trapping longer than I had been alive. And I find that the you disagree with me, so I'm going to assume that you're significantly younger than me and I'm right by virtue of being older, is a common defense people use when they don't actually have proof of whatever they claim. And I highly doubt that it's even true as I careen through my mid-50s. Then he told me that song dog is what they call hybrids in his area. Their pelts are worthless, and that I should ask my local game warden. Tempting, but unnecessary. Now, I know it's not uncommon for animals to have different regional nicknames, but I can't imagine that coyote-dog hybrids are common enough, well, any place in North America for them to have their own nickname. I mean, normally people are accusing coyotes of luring dogs out to attack and kill them, not luring them out for a bit of hanky-panky. And if coyote-dog hybrids are that common where this guy lives, well, that's a whole other issue. Like, why are there so many unspayed dogs running around loose in his neighborhood? It just doesn't make sense. But hey, if the term song dog is used to refer specifically to coyote dog hybrids in your area, please reach out and let me know. I'm always willing to learn and even admit when I'm wrong. The other social media thing I wanted to address goes back to my video of the crows mobbing the great horned owls. One of the common comments on that and my other owl crow video is some variation of, owls and crows are mortal enemies who have been at war since the dawn of time. And, I don't know, at war and mortal enemies implies that they want to see each other dead. And that idea just doesn't sit right with me. It's a human interpretation of animal behavior. I mean, yeah, owls sometimes prey on crows, but does that mean the owls want to see all the crows dead? Well, the fact that they just sit quietly while the crows raise a ruckus and don't attack the crows suggests that the owls generally just don't really care. Crows may be an occasional source of protein, but not so much a mortal enemy. Likewise, the crows recognize that the owls could potentially eat them, so they try to drive the owls away. It wouldn't be totally unheard of for a crow to raid an owl nest for an egg or even an owlet, but do they target owls specifically? No, crows do that to a lot of birds. And again, while they pester the owls and try to drive them away, usually they don't attack physically. I'm not saying it can't happen, but if it does, it's the exception rather than the norm. So this whole mortal enemies at war notion is just an over-dramatization. By that thinking, squirrels are mortal enemies with hawks and owls and any other perceived threat. Have you ever heard an angry squirrel? Not to mention the Canada geese, they hate everyone, but nobody ever accuses either one of being mortal enemies with another animal. Okay, feral friends, that brings us to the end of my ranting. Thanks for listening. If you want to support the podcast, there's many ways you can do that. Become a patron. Subscriptions start at just $5 a month. And with 3 paid months, you get free Dispatches from the Forest merch. What more could you ask for? Find all the details at patreon.com/dispatchesfromtheforest. You can donate through PayPal using my email address, dispatchesfromtheforest@gmail.com, which of course is also the best way to contact me if you have any questions, comments, requests for future episodes, or to let me know if Song Dog is used to refer to coyote dog hybrids in your area. If a check is more your style, that's great. Just shoot me an email and I'll let you know what my mailing address is. Or you can use the Cash App and the hashtag ForestNerd. Go check out the merch store at cafepress.com/shop/dispatches from the forest. Click on products and find something you like. Finally, you can follow Dispatches from the Forest on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm your host, Tim the Nature Nerd O'Hara, reminding you to go outside and get dirty. Dirt Dispatches is a production of Dispatches from the Forest and may not be used or rebroadcast whole or in part without express written permission.